Hello, and welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds, I'm Nerd Steve, and today I'm hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted, how are you doing this fine and lovely evening, sir?
I'm doing good, man. Just living in this winter wonderland. Although it's only like 2 inches of snow.
Well, I don't think we've got anything close to 2 inches of snow that stayed. Like we
Yeah,
got like on the car for like maybe a half hour. There was like an inch and a half, maybe. But
but
I
that
I got
being,
dust.
yeah, I don't know. I think well, I'm a little bit further south than you. I'm closer to the coast, so maybe we got an extra half an inch or inch. But with that being said, we're going to be talking about Wizards tonight for the 2024 Player's Handbook.
So we're at the last class from this new handbook. And it's definitely got some ups and downs as far as I'm concerned.
But hopefully more ups than downs.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, all in all, like Wizard has always been, a solid class for 5e D&D.
Yep.
So I would say it's still solid. So I guess we'll jump into it. Their spell casting is basically the same. Ritual Adept is basically the ritual casting. It's the same, but I would say with the added benefit of them being the primary ritual casters in the game now. Like no one
Yes.
else just because it just gets ritual casting without making some sort of choice.
It
So
says you can cast any spell as a ritual if that spell has a ritual tag and the spell is in your spell book. You needn't have the spell prepared. You must read it from the book to cast it in a spell this way. Um, so using that as a caveat, I would say if you find a ritual spell on a scroll
mhm.
that's not a wizard spell, it's open to interpretation by your DM as to whether or not you could add that spell to your spell book and use it as a ritual spell.
So I mean, I guess the DM, I would look at the rules for spellbook and be like, what are the rules for adding spells to your spellbook? If it has to be a wizard spell, then I would say that would disqualify scrolls from another class. That's how I would rule my team, which I know would make you sad.
And that's fine. Um, so copying a spell into your spell book, it does say when you find a level 1+ wizard spell, you can copy it into your spell book. If it's a level you can prepare and you have time to copy it. Um, yeah. So I I'm not trying to like, stretch it out there. I'm just looking at the specific
Yeah.
word choice of the one ability. Um, you know, so I just love the idea of, getting access to all the ritual spells as I had done in a previous game. So
Yeah, yeah. Chris will grab your question once we get further in. Arcane Recovery is the same as it was. Second level Scholar. At second level they get Scholar, which is a new feature, which so we can just read it.
yeah, so while studying magic, you also specialize in another field of study. Choose one of the following skills in which you have proficiency: arcana, history, investigation, medicine, nature, or religion. You have expertise in that skill. So, as a intelligence-based class, you're basically picking an intelligence-based skill that you are now doubling your proficiency for, which I think is, a very nice added bump to the wizard to be like, hey, look, you spend all this time studying books. How about you actually have a mechanical notation that represents that? Because I've seen so many like, oh yeah, I'm the wizard in the party, and the bard or the rogue or the knowledge cleric are all better at arcana than me. What
Yep.
the hell?
Slacker. At fifth level, we get a new feature as well: Memorize Spell.
So whenever you finish a short rest, you can study your spell book and replace one of the level 1+ wizard spells you have prepared for your spellcasting feature with another level 1+ spell from your book. So basically, you can sub out your prepared spells. Um, it's a nice little switch. So if you didn't properly do what you were supposed to prepare for the fight that's about to come up, or something has changed and you need to make a quick swap, boom, short rest, you can swap out one.
Nice. Then we get the Spell Mastery, which is the same, and that's basically you have a first or second level spell that you can cast at will at that spell level. If you want to cast at a higher level, then you have to use a higher level spell slot. Is that, am I remembering that correct, Ted?
Yeah, so that's what it was before. This particular one, doesn't appear to be changed, except for the caveat of whenever you finish a long rest, you can study your spell book and replace one of those spells with an eligible spell of the same level from the book. So it's not set in stone.
So it gets a
Uh,
little, you get a little bump. You got a little more versatility.
so in my opinion, the level 18 superior to what it was before. I think that before, like you would get one at 17, you got to do one, and then at 18, you got to do two. Now they
No, it
lumped it
was both.
together.
They were both at 18, and they were set once you
Okay.
picked them.
Okay. 19 is your epic level boon, and level 20 is your signature spells, which this one took a hit.
Uh, so what is it now, Ted?
So choose two third level spells in your spell book as your signature spells. You always have these spells prepared, and you can cast each of them once at level 3 without expending a spell slot. Once you do so, you can't cast it in this way again until you finish a short or long rest. To cast either spell at a higher level, you must expend a spell slot. Whereas before, you got one signature spell that you could cast at will.
No,
Apparently, no.
20th level, you gain mastery two powerful spells. You can cast them with little effort. Choose a two third level wizard spells in your spell book as your signature spells. You always have these spells prepared. They don't count against the number of spells you've prepared. And you cast each of them once at third level without spending a spell slot. When you do
Oh,
so, you can't do
all
so
right.
again until you finish a short or a long rest.
All right. Well, color me wrong because I was under the impression that it was like, okay, 20th level wizard, you're casting fireball at will.
No, I think we might have just had that in our brains.
Well,
So
uh,
it's
strike me down then. It's awesome, man. Wizard is only improved. Uh, and I'll have another frustration to add on later on.
yeah. So the base core wizard is almost the same. You just get a couple features that are slightly improved. The one where you can swap out your spells, which is useful. Um, the getting uh well, the 18th level ability swapping out spells, 5th level swapping out prepared spells, and your expertise. All those are great additions. Um, so it's gotten a slight bump, but again, it's wizard, right? You're casting a wish spell. So like I think that's why they don't get as cool of a capstone ability. Really they're just getting two more. The best part is having two more spells that you're prepared. Right? You no longer have to prepare fireball. You just have it prepared, or lightning bolt, or whatever your go-to third level spell is, and a couple of free
Counter spell.
castings. Counter spell.
Counter spell.
Maybe not in this edition. Since that changed a bit. So with
Sure.
with that we get four of our base wizard traditions.
All right. So before we jump into Abjurer, I'm gonna lay my major frustration out. Now I know the player's handbook only has so many pages, and that they decided, that they were going to, okay, we're gonna do 4 subclasses for each class and cut it off. I am absolutely annoyed that as a wizard, there's 4 other primary schools of magic that we don't have access to, and we don't know when there will be a supplement to get those other 4. And we know, okay, we've got DMG and Monster Manual. I
Now,
imagine the next book thereafter is going to be an adventure, not
if you're playing the 2014 rules already, this is not a big deal because you can just use what was there before, and it's
right.
pretty close. Matter of fact, the best changes they've made is easy to do across the board.
Sure.
Um, that being said, though, if you are going to be more limited, if this is your first edition of Dungeons and Dragons, but you won't necessarily know you're being more limited. So I guess that's the balancing factor, just the grognards grumping around the table.
So I think it's an issue of, like, if your DM has said, okay, guys, I'm going to convert our campaign from 2014 to 2024, and you've got all these other people who are, subbing up their classes with the new subclasses, and yours isn't there. Sure, you can play, the older edition, even though you might not be getting things at the exact same level. Like, we know it's definitely bumped up.
Yeah.
So you're technically missing out on whatever bump is supposed to come.
Maybe. Well, let's go over the subclasses, then we can decide how much better they are,
Sure,
or how much the same they are. So
sure.
you're right. We got Abjura first.
So
So
this one you get two abjure spells, automatically added to your book when you get this at third level. In addition, whenever you gain a wizard spell, you're going to add another one, or when you get a new spell slot. So basically, every time you level up and could get access to a new level of spells, you're always going to be able to have one that is your subclass, and this holds true throughout all four subclasses here in 2024.
and it's this is actually an improvement over what you got before, because before beginning when you select the school at second level, the gold and time you must spend to copy an abjuration spell in your spell book is halved. Now you're getting two spells, and when you gain a new spell level, you're gaining a new spell. And one of the hardest things about playing a wizard in 5e D&D, or actually any edition really, is if your DM is stingy with scrolls and enemy spell books, you're kind of boned. So this mitigates that at least a little bit, giving you access to even more spells to put in your spell book for free. So to me,
So
I consider that a huge boon.
So technically, when you hit level 3 as a wizard, you're adding, you know, uh, four new spells to your spell book. Is it two per level or one per level?
Two.
Yeah. So four spells at third level. So you're going from first to second level spells and getting four spells added. That is a huge bump. And like I said, this matches throughout
Yep.
all of them.
So this would be easy to do for say you're playing something that's not in here, like a conjurer, right?
Right.
This is a simple tweak that you could make.
Sure, I completely agree with that, and I would easily swap that out. But once you start going away from the blanket changes,
Yeah.
then it's like, okay, what does this mean here?
All right. Speaking of which, the next thing up we have Arcane Ward. It is pretty much the same. It
It's
basically,
basically your barrier that you put up that you can kind of absorb damage, and it's equal to your twice your wizard level plus your intelligence modifier.
yeah. And then when you cast spells, it you get more. It heals it by the spell slot level.
Now the thing that I remember differently, and you could correct me where I'm wrong. This one says when you cast a spell that uses a spell slot. I believe other people have used builds before
Hmm.
where the wording says when you cast an abjuration spell, you refill the ward.
Well, then
So
that's actually an additional change, right? Because now it's when you use a spell slot with the abjuration spell, right?
yes,
It heals your ward. Before it was the same, but it healed it by the spell level, not by the spell slot level. So if you were to upcast a spell, it would increase the healing it would do, as opposed to being stagnant at the spell level. Um, but also, let's see, you're saying the wording is when you cast an abjuration spell first level or higher, you can simultaneously use a strand of magic, the spell's magic, to create a magical word on yourself that lasts until you finish a long rest.
so if you had, say, like through a warlock ability where you could cast a spell at will, you are still casting a abjuration spell that is not a cantrip. By the old wording, it
Mm.
would still refill your ward, whereas
Well,
now you must expend a spell slot. So it is a wording tweak because I think people found exploits.
yeah, yeah, and that's absolutely true. Because before, like, if you had spells from your race or species now, or from some other means, and you're technically casting the spell, maybe, or a scroll or a wand or whatever, you could probably argue that, hey, I'm casting the spell even though I'm using this other thing to do it. And it has a spell level, but now it's very specific. Spell slot, are you using one? No, don't get it.
Right. So I'm not as particular about that particular thing, but I like when I notice the word
Yep.
choice. I like to call that out there so that people who are trying to use the old
It's
way.
got an upside and a downside, right? The fact that,
Mhm.
if you're casting a low level spell, um, that there was also another loophole, I think. But if you're casting a low level spell and you decide to upcast it, well, it's more effective for you now, as opposed to before, where it's just based on the spell level. It doesn't matter
Yep.
what level spell slot you use. Also, like before, I think some of us kind of were arguing, well, what if you use a ritual spell? Like, I think maybe alarm might be a ritual spell,
Mhm.
right? And you can use that and alarm the shit out of everything and repair your
Like I
ward.
said, there were ways that people found
To abuse it.
the way to exploit it. So sixth level, you get projected ward. This allows you to take your arcane ward and protect other people that are within 30 feet of you.
Yeah, it's basically the same strong ability. Spellbreaker is a new feature because I believe Dispel Magic and Counterspell don't work the same.
So you always have counterspell and dispel magic spells prepared. In addition, you can cast dispel magic as a bonus action, and you can add your proficiency bonus to its ability check. When you cast either spell with a spell slot, that slot isn't expended if the spells fail to stop the spell.
So I like that, and also like they're not like those spells don't work the same as they did, right? So so they're not as effective because before you would get to um improved abjuration was the ability that it replaced. Beginning 10th level, when you cast an abjuration spell that requires you to make an ability check as part of your casting that spell, as in counter spell or dispel magic, you add your proficiency bonus to the ability check. Um, I guess that part's the same then. Uh, I think I'm just thinking of the fact that you have to make checks now in order to use counterspell. I believe
So
is that right?
counterspell, the way it works is you attempt to interrupt the creature in the process of casting a spell. The creature makes a Constitution saving throw against your spell save DC. If they fail to save, the spell dissipates with no effect. The action, bonus action, or reaction used to cast it is wasted. If that spell was cast with a spell slot, the slot isn't expended. So, regardless, you've used a third level spell slot, and if you stop their casting, they can do it again next round.
Yeah.
I, I feel that's a no bueno.
It
That's
was better when they drained the resource. Like you use the resource,
yes,
they use the resource, and especially now because there's a saving throw component to it.
yes,
The nice thing here is you're getting counterspell and dispel magic spells prepared all the time.
yes.
Which, as a wizard, that opens up your versatility. 2 third level spell slots, so you're not your third level spells aren't getting dedicated to that for your prepared.
Correct. And as an abjurer, I think that's a super strong move. You do have to wait until 10th level, so you've got access to 5th level spells. But like once you hit that marker, you're gonna breathe a little bit of what you have access to
And
in
and
your
also, if you fail, you don't
arsenal.
waste the resource now. So
Yes, that is huge. And then 14th level, love this ability. You have advantage on saving throws against spells, and you have resistance to damage of spells. Holy shit, that's amazing.
and that's the same.
It's still great.
I'm sure. Diviner has not changed much at all, right? We already discussed the Savant ability that they all get. Portent is the same. They get 2 portents when they hit third
it's just a
level.
wording. It's just a wording choice of using the new
Yeah.
term of D20 test.
Yep. Expert divination at 6th level. When you cast divining spells, you get spell slots back, which is awesome. That's the same. Third eye. This is where this one. My notes say same with 2 tweaks. Bonus action instead of action, which is good, and there's no see ethereal option anymore. You can't see ghosts
No ghosts. Sorry, man.
or things on the ethereal plane. But other than that, it's pretty much the same. Being able to do it as a bonus action instead of an action, though, is good.
Moving on to Evoker.
But they also get greater important, but also the same. Yes, Invoker. Savant, the same. As is with all the other classes. It's cool, it's good, gives them more shit to do. Third level, they also get potent cantrip. This ability is the same, but they used to get it at 6th level. So they get it much earlier, making it more useful. But there's a caveat.
The sculpt spells got bumped to 6.
Yes. Which, that being said, like, I guess at 3rd level you're probably using a lot more cantrips than you are at 6th level.
But as an evoker, having to wait from 5th level to 6th level for that use of fireball, it's like, all right, 5th level is no longer safe. You're still gonna do it because you're an evoker. You're gonna lose those fireballs, but the party's got to survive.
Yeah. Hit points are a resource source I've heard.
I've heard that mentioned a fair few times.
Empowered evocation at 10th level is the same as it was in 2014.
Did over channel change? Because it seems a little harsh.
Nope, it's always been harsh. The first time you use it, it's awesome. If you want to use it after that, you probably are taking more damage than you do.
Yeah. 2d12 for each level of the spell slot. It ignores that resistance and immunity. Yuck. And then when you use it again, it goes up by a d12.
Well, if you're going to read that part, you might as well just read the whole thing.
All right. So you can increase the power of your spells. When you cast a wizard spell with a spell slots of level 1 through 5 that deals damage, you can deal maximum damage with the spell on that turn you cast. The first time you do so, you suffer no adverse effect. If you use this feature again before you finish a long rest, you take 2d12 necrotic damage for each level of the spell slot immediately after you cast it. This damage ignores resistance and immunity. So, I cast a level 1 magic missile. That's 15 damage. You take 2d12 necrotic. You cast a 3rd level fireball. Okay, that's 48 damage to you. Sorry, 48 damage to the area of the fireball, but you're taking 6d12 necrotic.
Yeah. So what is that? 6
to 72.
Yeah.
So that's a lot. And then if you try to use this a 3rd time, it's 3d12 for each spell slot level. So that would be 9d12 for a fireball for the next time you do it. Sure, there could be somebody who's like, all right, I'm here for this, but it certainly wouldn't be me. I might push it once, but never twice.
Yeah. Every time you push it after that, you're more likely to kill yourself than you are them. Or,
It is what it is.
I guess, maybe if you're using a 7th level spell like Finger of Death, where you're doing a lot of damage, but still, 7d12.
Sure. I was thinking more along the lines of, wanting to max out that disintegration.
Or, disintegration or meteor swarm or something truly nasty.
Meteor swarm's too high.
Oh, that's right. It stops at 5th.
So disintegration might be out of the realm of possibility too.
And so is Finger of Death, yeah.
So yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what you'd be
It,
saving it
it
for, but
it is perfectly designed to make sure there's not a single spell that's worth it. So
all right. So we're flying through these because we're already up to our last subclass and we're not even halfway through.
well, that happens when they don't change much. It's there's not really a
That's
whole
true.
lot to discuss.
So our last one is illusionist, and this is pretty much the four that I would expect to be the most popular. You
Yes.
know, diviner and evocator are the top two. Illusion and abjuration, would be your third and fourth. So let's dive into illusion.
All right.
We've already
So
mentioned
savant,
savant.
same uh good ability no matter who you're playing. Improved illusion was improved minor illusion before. Now it's kind of the same. Plus, there's a new feature, so we can kind of read it and see the difference.
Absolutely. You can cast illusion spells without providing verbal components. And if an illusion spell you cast has a range of 10 plus feet, the range increases by 60 feet. Uh, you also know the minor illusion cantrip. If you already know it, you learn a different wizard cantrip of your choice. The cantrip doesn't count against the number of wizard cantrips you know. You can create both a sound and an image with a single casting of minor illusion, and you can cast it as a bonus action.
All right. So before improved minor illusion, when you choose a second level, choose a school at second level, you learn minor illusion cantrip. If you already know it, you get a different one. Cantrip doesn't count against your number of cantrips known. When you cast minor illusion, you create sound and image with a single casting of the spell. So the fact that you're doing it as a bonus action, um, and it's a cantrip, meaning you could just do this every round and cast another spell.
Yes.
Uh, and the fact that your range on your illusion spells have greatly increased. You know,
Yep.
your even so your minor illusion used to be 30 feet. Now it's 90 feet, unless that specifies it has to be a leveled spell. No, it
No.
doesn't. So, and also without providing verbal components as well. So, um, you're a little bit stealthier when you cast your illusions. So this is a huge bump.
Huge bump makes me immediately, lean heavily towards, saying, all right, let's put an illusionist on the map, whether it be an adversary or a player.
So sixth level, you get phantasm creatures, and this is new. It replaces malleable illusion.
So you always have the summon beast and summon fey spells prepared. Whenever you cast either spell, you can change its school to illusion, which causes the summoned creature to appear spectral. You can cast the illusion version of each spell without expending a spell slot, but casting it without a slot halves the creature's hit points. Once you cast either spell with a spell slot, you must finish a long rest before you can cast the spell again in that way. Um, so again, getting access to more spell casting, having them become illusion spells for you, which means you again don't need to worry about the verbal component, and its range is increased because you're changing it to illusion, so you get those bumps. All in all, I think that's fabulous. And then
Yeah,
being able to get
they already
all
have
of them
decent
free.
range. 90 feet goes out to 150. So
Yeah, that's it's great stuff.
what did they used to? Malleable illusion is what they used to get. Starting sixth level, you cast illusion spell that has a duration of 1 minute or longer. You can use your action to change the nature of that illusion using spells normal parameters for the illusion, provided you can see the illusion, which was kind of cool because I believe like when you cast an illusion, most illusion spells, the time of casting it's kind of set, and with that, it gave you the option of from round to round you could change what your illusion is, giving you more versatility with that single casting. Um, I mean, the problem with illusion spells and illusionists has always been, how does your GM abdicate them in your game, right? If you have a generous GM or DM, you can do tons of stuff. If you don't, you're very limited. Everything will disbelieve. It's always going to be a saving throw, even before they interact with it. So again, illusion, while one of my favorite ones, I've always felt like it was very dependent upon.
Yeah, that is one of the downsides to the illusionist as a class. So if you are leaning towards this one, always talk to your DM first, and subtly say, "Hey, how are you going to treat these things?" Because you know I've seen DMs that are like, oh yeah, they obviously see through your illusion, and it's like, all right, well, my whole shtick is gone.
Yeah, yeah. 10th level, you get illusionary self. It's the same, but you can recharge it with a spell slot. And this is basically when someone attacks you, you create an illusionary duplicate, and they as a reaction, and the attack doesn't hit you, it hits the dupe instead, which is very nice, especially for things where they have to make an attack roll on you, like or doesn't say attack roll. It says when you attack when
No,
you
it's just when
attack.
a creature
Okay, it
hits you
does
with an
attack
attack.
roll. Yeah. So I'm thinking I think there is one of the nastier spells. I don't know if it's disintegration or if it's finger of death. They get a saving throw and you have to make an attack roll. Uh,
Oh, geez.
but it's nice for putting the kibosh on those spells.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's a fantastic ability. Um, and one of the great things is like even when you look at uh or when I specifically look at these kind of things, like I use them as inspiration to, oh, well, if I want to make a magic item that duplicates or near duplicates class abilities, like this is one of those things that is like, yeah, this is a fabulous ability to put into a magic item, for somebody who has illusionary type stuff, but isn't a, illusion wizard. Um, just because it's a lot of fun and it's powerful ability.
Level 14, we get illusionary reality. It is exactly the same.
Yeah, this one I really feel requires your DM buy-in to make it be worthwhile. If you have a DM who's not willing to go with your situation, I feel like this is a capstone ability that's going to get wasted, not used.
Like so, if if you have a generous GM with this ability, you can all kinds of Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote stuff,
Sure.
right? Oh, there's no door in out of this room or to the next room. You could create a door and it's a functional door. Um, Now, is your GM the GM that says you open it and it just opens to the wall, or is your GM the GM that says, oh, it takes you to whatever is adjacent to it, the hallway
Right.
or another room or whatever. Um, you
Yeah, like I
know,
said, with a good GM buy-in, uber powerful, and really requires you as the player to get creative, to think outside the box, and have a lot of fun with it. I love the Looney Tune shit of like, okay, well, I open a door that wasn't there. I close it behind me. I've now stepped into the other room. The dude tries to follow me. They open a door and walk into the brick wall. Like, hilarious. Um, but if the DM's like, oh, sure, you can make the illusory door that opens. The door opens, but there's still stone wall there. It's like, well, clearly you've not seen through what the intention here was.
yeah.
Sure, like I make a bridge that over the chasm that works for me but doesn't work for you. Sure, that works because it's specifically called out in the spell. But it's a crapshoot. Talk to your GM, make sure they're going to be cool with it.
Yeah. Although I am disappointed I haven't gotten to play a illusionist in a long term campaign yet. A couple one shots. I think you're the
Mm-hmm.
same way.
I don't think I've ever played an illusionist wizard. Um, Most of the wizards I've leaned towards have been either like evocation or conjuration. Um, I've
Hmm.
I've played more sorcerers than wizards in fifth, so
I thought the gnome you played was an illusionist.
Oh shit. Was he a wizard?
Yeah, he was a wizard.
Oh man, now I gotta. All right.
He had a familiar, so
Yeah, that's true. All right. That's jumping way back, way back.
like I said, there hasn't been too many. So we're halfway. We're basically halfway through. So I'll jump into the comments. Take a look here. If you want to remind people where we're going to be in a couple weeks.
A couple weeks, week and a half, dude. So we are going to be going to page 2 in Philly Oaks. That's Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo. Dave is going to be running a couple of games. I've got a game that's still got two seats left. Um, it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday convention right here in the East Coast. So if you happen to be in the general area or are willing to travel, there's going to be a lot of fantastic people that are expected to be there. You can head over to their Facebook page and check out all of the huge convention list, or just search for page 2 and go check out all of the amazing things that they have going on. I'm excited to check out a new convention and meet some wonderful people and roll some funny shaped dice and possibly talk in some silly voices.
There you go. So Chris says, "Hiya, starting a Blade Singer in a mini campaign this week. Any advice for spells besides Booming Blade and Green Flame Blade, since my DM is nixing Shadow Blade?"
Well, the Nixing Shadow Blade, that's a sad one. I don't know. I'm always prone to the ye old staples of Magic Missile and Fireball. Um but I like what was it, Anagazer Scorcher? This is always a fun one.
Yeah, but I think he's looking more Blade Singer specific.
Oh, sorry. I was looking up information when you were reading all of it, and I just heard, what wizard spells are you recommending? Um,
So most of the ones I think of are like Tensor's Transformation, Haste, things of that nature are super useful. Mage Armor, because well, you're going to need the protection.
sure. I mean, True Strike has taken a leap forward. Um, so is True Strike a current wizard spell, or is that more?
It is a
Oh,
wizard spell, but I don't know if it's going to be useful because the Blade Singer probably already uses their intelligence to attack and damage.
okay.
Where like that's the main thing about it, is that you can do that. The other thing, like, it can make it can give you the opportunity to do radiant damage, and if you upcast, it's a cantrip, so when you go up in levels, it does do more damage, but as a Blazinger you get multiple attacks. Um, and you have to cast the cantrip in order to um in order to make the attack, right? So I don't remember the whole kit for the Blade Singer, so if they get something that lets them to cast a spell as a bonus action or a cantrip as a bonus action, then it would be a bit more useful. But you're asking the wrong guys too, right? Because like we just don't think gishes are that effective. They tend to be like one trick ponies. Also, I think like False Life, Expeditious Retreat, they're useful things for a Gish style character. Shield, obviously, because you don't want to get hit and you do not want to take damage as a squishy wizard.
What is so like, to me, like, I think of Steel Wind Strike, but I don't know if they're only looking for low level spells. Um, Steel Wind Strike I've seen used obnoxiously well in a 1-2 pairing, um, with Hold Person. So definitely be on the lookout for that when you can get there eventually.
So there's a new spell called Arcane Vigor. It's only a second level spell, and it lets you roll one or two of your unexpended hit dice and add your spellcasting ability modifier to it. It's a bonus action to cast, so that seems like it might be fairly useful for a wizard that wants to run around and hit things with a stick. And when you if you upcast it, then you can expend more dice. So if you need healing on the fly, um, Chris says Bladesinger adds int to AC and concentration saves. Okay, so True Strike might be useful, especially at the lower levels. Before you get extra attack, which I think they don't get it till sixth level anyway. So, and then I think you can swap out your cantrips and spells anyway at some point. So once it's no longer useful, you can get rid of it. Or if you want to keep it around for an instance where you're going to be able to use a cantrip and make it and do another action at the same time. Someone Ree also agrees with you, and they remember it being unlimited spell as well. Ree also is going universal no longer a thing in 10th edition. Universal. Um, with 5e, it's what it is the base wizard is universal. I would say in 5e, it does everything all the wizards could do before, but having a specialty just makes you better at that one thing and gives you extra abilities. Like you're not losing anything from previous editions where you know you had the kits and you specialized that way. So it's almost like the kits, but getting them for free.
Right.
Brimstone says I stroke my beard like a supervillain. I'm like, well, how do you know I'm not a supervillain? I mean, I'm ready to take over the tri-state area at any time. Also, the next Dresden Files is 92% done. Speaking of wizards, Brimstone's been keeping us updated on Twitter X, if you would.
Well,
Um,
thank you for that because I'm currently re-listening to it, so I know once you say it's 100% done, that means it's written and it's now got to go through editing and
yeah.
all of that stuff, which is going to take time. But I'm I think halfway through, so I got time. Uh,
Another Brimstone, where Zoo Mafia at? I mean, honestly, with where Zoo Mafia is right now, is we need to get more eyeballs on it before we can relaunch the a Kickstarter. We need to get to a certain level with the follows on the page for us to even think about it, or otherwise, we're just going to launch another Kickstarter. It's going to fail again, and we don't really want to do that. So we're kind of holding off to when we think we can make it happen.
So we're not, we're clearly not walking away from it. It's not a situation that, we're, oh well, it didn't happen, it didn't happen.
Yeah,
I'm still running the game on the channel. We'll be back tomorrow night. Um,
the
you
God's
know,
willing. It's been rough. This one's
God,
been rough.
God's willing. But we're also in a situation where, like, every Saturday, I'm doing a blog post talking about Zoom Mafia to, continually help, generate traffic in that direction. Then, in fact, what I did this Saturday was like a major link tree as to where you can find all the different things Zoom Mafia related. So, like, I've done a blog post talking about all of the different playbooks, the 4 core bosses, some jobs, the different campaigns that are out there. At some point in time, like that link tree is going to keep getting edited and added to as we go. I have to get in touch with several of people who've run stuff on the channel, or run stuff on someone else's channel and get that added into there as well. So the idea is for stuff not just on our site but on others, that'll be a great place to go to really fuel your Zoo Mafia knowledge. um you know
From so if you can't get the spells you want, subclass and fighter, get action surge. Yeah. Well, the fighting part that works for a blade singer, but not the double casting part because
Right.
they fixed
They
that
nerfed that.
in 2024. But again, you're daily, do what you want. Uh, Diag, depending on how tactical your games are, darkness could be fun, or blade singer dash in and out. Fog cloud similarity. Yeah, anything that keeps things from targeting you directly with attacks or spells definitely makes things easier. But yes, you'll have to run in and out. Cool. So also so going forward with the channel, we're going to be changing some things up. And as far as Zoo Mafia goes, we're going to be doing way more Zoo Mafia content, as well as we kind of want to double down on some of our the things that we want to work on and want to do. I mean, like we've done all the how to videos and the guides and so many different things. We now want to we're really thinking about just focusing down on IPs that are Nerdarchies, some of which will be 5e and some of it will be our own games. We have other games we want to make using the Zoo Mafia mechanics. And we're really looking at the Under the Dome campaign setting that we've been playing in as a home game. That is a lot different than most typical D&D games. It is post-apocalyptic, with some light industrial or arcana punk in there as well. Then our other Skies game is arcana punk meets uh, eldritch horror. So we want to focus on things that are like things that we're working on and other channels aren't going to be doing. Um,
So we'll be talking about D&D, but we'll be creating content that not only can we put up on the website and expand upon these IPs, and again generate traffic towards things that we're having fun making. But we spent so long playing typical fantasy, and while that's great for most people, that's not really a direction that we tend to play these days.
yeah, and also too, we're looking at like products we want to make down the road. Um, and so for us, it just makes sense to double down on that. And if you're following us, to give you guys the stuff that we plan on making and, kind of building content around that, hopefully get folks excited about it. Chris brings up, and this is kind of why we're doing it, since I have been watching you guys since the old days of live plays around the table. What are your thoughts on the rash of D&D YouTubers calling it quits, man shorts, and yeah, and also how to be a great GM? Just last week put out final videos, and they're even bigger channels than us, and they're not doing it anymore. And there's so many others: Dawnforge Cast, WebDM, probably Taking 20, probably ones that I'm not even thinking about that aren't around anymore. So if we're going to be around and keep doing it, we need to make videos that are going to be fun for us and interesting for us to continue doing. Um,
But
and
we also want to make things that we think you guys will enjoy. We're not going to just be like, all right, well, this is what we're doing, and you know, we don't think you're going to like it, but we're doing it anyway. No, I think like the thoughts and ideas that we have are going to be fun and imaginative, and thought provoking. Like it's going to draw people in, um, but it's got to be stuff that is going to serve the purpose of creating content that we really truly believe in.
we've been around for 10 years and we've made a lot of content. So we've done so many different guides and the worst and the best. And, I don't know if I got another one of those in me, right? Unless it's like we're talking about specific things that we're making and we're doing. And there's so many other great content creators out there doing that kind of stuff. Like maybe we'll veer away from those three prongs of what we want to do going forward with this year. But if we do, it'll be something that like intrigues us, and if we're interested, we're just going to go out on a limb and say maybe some of you are as well. So we're going to be more focused in the content that we make, And maybe that means our audience gets much smaller and shrinks from what it's been in the past, but that's okay because there's tons of great content creators out there. Just giving you guys a heads up on what direction we're going to go in. Which that might start next week. I don't know. We got what do we got? It's not next week, but the week after that we're at Page.
Uh, I mean, Page is next weekend,
Oh, already. Never mind.
so I mean, we leave in 10 days.
Yeah. But yeah, it's not this coming weekend, the following.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, and also, hey, come hang out with us. We'll play some games. We're each Ted's running a Zoo Mafia and D&D game. I'm running a couple D&D games, and as always, we're willing to run. We get enough people together and like, hey, you want us to run a game, run the game, and we're not doing anything else. We'll run a game. We've definitely brought people back to Ted's house from a local convention and run a game, and so far we haven't been axe murdered. So
yeah.
it's a
There's
good deal.
there's been there's been zero axe murders, taken at from Nerdarchy fans
Yeah, yeah. So far.
so far. So far.
I mean, there's been non-Nerdarchy fans that we gamed with, and we're a little leery whether or not we're going to end up chained to a wall in their basement or not. But so far, it's worked out pretty good.
Hey, I traveled an hour and a half to go visit somebody who had flown from England, uh, who had made a handcrafted miniature, of one of my previous characters. He was visiting family here in the States, and he's like, hey, I did this thing. Would you have any interest in, coming up here and, having dinner with my family and let me present you with this thing? It's actually still up here on the shelf behind me. Um, yeah, and there was, definitely people who were like, dude, you have no idea who this dude is, and you're gonna drive to the middle of nowhere. I'm like, yeah, why not?
Why not? What's the worst could happen? You
And I didn't die.
didn't die this time.
I didn't die this time.
Yeah. With that, that is Wizard from the PHB for 2024. It's mostly the same. Some changes that we like and don't like everything that's been in this book so far. I just opened up to my home group. I was like, if you guys want to use 2024 stuff, feel free. Let's include it. They've introduced epic boons, and I'm like, hey, yeah, let's go. Let's take this campaign to level 30. We can make use of some more of those epic boons that you guys are gonna get a taste of anyway. So, with that, I think that's it. I don't have anything else to say on the topic, Ted.
All right. So thanks for coming along for this little wizard journey, our 12-part series of the classes of 2024. Come check us out for some Zoo Mafia tomorrow night. And come go look at the information for page 2 and come play in our games.
So until next time, stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy.